Hi friends, my name is Emily and this is The Self-Help Chef. I believe that food is the ultimate connection to all things mental, physical, and spiritual. This series is all about how to navigate important self-help topics while making delicious plant-based food. Food is the source of community, important discussion, family, and so much more. I encourage everyone to cook along with me and my guests while we talk candidly and openly about everything health and wellness. Hi friends, my name is Emily and welcome to The Self-Help Chef. I am so excited to have with me one of the founding members of the legendary hip hop group Run DMC. He and the rest of DMC were inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2009, and he's considered to be one of the pioneers of hip hop culture. I'm so honored that he's here cooking with us. It's Darryl McDaniels.
How you doing, Emily? What's happening?
Thank you so much for doing this with me, D.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to cook with you today.
And what are we cooking?
We are cooking our gluten-free and vegan veggie burgers.
Gluten-free and vegan veggie burgers.
Yes,
Okay,
and I know
good.
that you are very health conscious. You're gluten-free. You like to eat a lot of veggies. You like to make sure that what you're putting in your body feels really good.
Yes.
So that's why I thought veggie burgers bean-based would be perfect because it's packed with protein, it's delicious, and you're still getting your health.
If it has protein, I'll eat it.
Yeah, you love protein. I remember we were talking about that before. And we're also going to talk about, we love on the Self-Help Chef to talk about health and wellness and plant-based eating. So I thought the perfect topic would be how you found your passion and just finding passion in general, because especially through your long career, you've found your passion in lots of different avenues.
Yes, many different avenues.
Yeah, which I think is amazing, and a lot of people can get caught up and stuck. And so I want to talk about that, how you found your passion and how you just like clung and ran with it.
You just basically got to utilize everything that you are.
Yeah.
That's what I like to say.
Yeah, I love that. I can't wait to dive into that. So we have our butcher gloves on today because we're gonna get down and dirty.
Yes.
So we'll talk about our ingredients first.
Okay.
We are going to do some spicy burgers, some spicy veggie bean burgers, but the only thing that is spicy is this hot sauce and this jalapeno aioli. 1 can of cannellini beans.
Okay.
1 can of black beans. I like to combine them just because of the texture and the color.
Oh, dump those dumping into the bowl.
And I will dump the black beans in, and all I did was strain and rinse them. I did leave a little bit of the juice in there just because it acts as a really good binder. So
to get it all together.
Exactly. There's something that we're using today, which is, I think I told you about aquafaba before, right?
Aquafaba, yes.
Yeah, so it's the bean juice of canned chickpeas. So that's gonna help bind, but I did leave a little bit of juice in there just so we have a really good combined veggie patty. Yeah, I like to say massage. Give it a nice shiatsu massage. And while you're doing that, I'm gonna add in our ingredients. So we have Worcestershire sauce in here, which is vegan, because original Worcestershire sauce is not. So you can find it at Whole Foods. Vegan Worcestershire sauce is also organic, so it's a lot better for you than regular Worcestershire, which I just said 3 times. It's really hard to say over and over again.
Worcestershire, right.
And then we also have some liquid smoke and some hot sauce. And so I'm gonna omit the hot sauce.
What is liquid smoke?
Okay, so liquid smoke it's like bottled smoke.
Bottled smoke.
They add a smoky flavor. I don't really know the science behind it.
Where did they get it from? Like a barbecue place? Or?
Yeah, you know what? I really don't know like the ins and outs of it.
Liquid
smoke. And here I have it.
Wow, liquid smoke.
And it's really, really potent. So I just added 1/4 of a teaspoon.
Okay.
You want to smell it?
It smells like a barbecue place.
Yeah, it smells like a barbecue place. And then this is our secret ingredient, the aquafaba. So aquafaba. And so aquafaba acts like a binder, acts like an egg. And so since we're vegan cooking, we're gonna be using this, and 3 tablespoons equals 1 egg. I would love to know about your story, and I know that it's a long and amazing one. And so I know that you started wanting to be, you grew up in Hollis, Queens.
I grew up in Hollis, Queens, New York.
So you're really close to home right now.
Yes, like probably 30 minutes without traffic.
Yeah.
With traffic, it's probably gonna take an hour and a half.
Yeah, even with the train?
No, train is much quicker.
Train's much quicker.
Yeah, train is much.
So
Take the subway when you come to New York City.
Yeah, be a real New Yorker.
Exactly.
So you grew up in
I went to
Queens.
Catholic school my whole life.
And you wanted to be a DJ at first, right?
No.
No?
I wanted to draw.
You wanted to be an artist?
Yeah, because all I did was read comic
Yeah.
books. As a little kid, all I did was read, collect, and draw comic books because comic books was the only place where I saw geeky, nerdy, intelligent, smart, genius people who were super bad.
Yeah.
You
Love
know what I'm
it.
saying? And as a little kid going to Catholic school, reading comics, wearing my glasses, I got teased, bullied, and picked on. So life wasn't good as a kid. I mean, like any kid now, I can understand the whole bullying issue and all of that.
Yeah.
So comic book was the perfect place for me. And when I saw Dr. Bruce Banner, when I saw Tony Starks, when I saw Reed Richards, when I saw Peter Parker, who, by the way, Stan Lee was brilliant. Spider-Man lived in Queens like me, so it was like real to me.
Perfect, yeah.
So I saw these superheroes that were like me. If Peter Parker could be that and Tony Stark can be that, then there's no telling what I could be.
Yeah.
But I still didn't know what I wanted to do. So I'm reading all these comic books, I'm getting straight A's, so I'm getting all this imagination and I'm getting this education. So it's all inside of me, but I had nowhere to release it. So I was living in my own little imaginary world until this thing called hip hop comes over the bridge from the Bronx. And when I first experienced hip hop, it had nothing to do with show business, had nothing to do with performing, had nothing to do with, becoming famous and getting money. For me, it was like, oh shoot, you could tell stories about who you are over music.
Yeah.
So for me, when I heard hip hop, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do what Neil Young and Crosby, Stills, Young and Nash and Bob Dylan does. I'm gonna put that with some rock guitars and I'm gonna tell the world about who Darryl is.
Yeah.
Because I know there's a lot of people out there that can relate to what I was going through.
Yeah.
So I'm doing all of this stuff, I'm putting all of this good music out, making people happy, changing things outside of my whole culture.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? From being the first non-athletic entity to receive a major sports endorsement from a sports apparel company.
Amazing.
Run DMC and Adidas. Like,
Yeah.
I don't play no basketball, and I got a sneaker deal like all the basketball players. That's crazy.
Exactly.
You know what I'm
Everybody
saying?
thinks DMC Adidas now.
Yeah, it wasn't like
those
we
are the
were-
main people.
Right,
that
every
they
time you see
associate
Adidas,
themselves
the
with.
first thing you think of is Run DMC.
Exactly.
And then when we hooked up with Aerosmith, you know what I'm saying? When we did their record, Walk This Way Over, we did it with them.
Yeah.
So that brought people together. So we was getting all of these results, me and my partners Run and Jam Master J, rest in peace, we getting all of these results because of the passion and the desire that we had just to do something that was good.
Yeah.
So now you're getting money.
Yeah.
Now you're on the top of the charts. Now you're selling out concerts. Now you're on the radio. Now you're on MTV in everybody's living room. So people outside of this, whose business is to create and capitalize off these things, starts telling you, well, once you was just doing it because you just need to cook.
Yeah.
That's how you express yourself.
Yep.
But now they're telling you, in addition to need to cooking, you need to make money. You need to be on TV. You need to be on the chart. You need to be on the radio. You need to be famous. You need to, they're giving you all of these needs.
Yeah.
That's not necessary.
It's not what you really need.
Right, so I'm starting to believe all of this. So what happened to me was, instead of turning into my passion and the desire just to create,
Yeah.
and this goes, I don't care what field you're in, I start looking for things outside me to help support the need to need.
Yeah.
And that became alcohol.
Yeah.
So one drink turns into 50 drinks, then 50 drinks turns into 1,000 drinks,
Yeah.
and then 1,000 drinks, literally for me, turned into 1,000,000 drinks. We get caught up to where we think that a lot of the stuff that comes to us because we're fulfilling our passions and our desires and the things that we want to do, we think that when these things are presented to you, you think you're supposed to take them and accept them.
Yeah.
But no, you know, when how I got out of this is I finally got to the point where I realized I needed help, and that was the first step.
Definitely.
Because you think you know it all, I can handle this, I can do that, but you get to that point where you realize, and a lot of people get there, but they're ashamed to ask for help.
Yep.
So I went to go get sober. Went to rehab to get sober. I gotta stop drinking. You know what I'm saying? I don't wanna die. I don't wanna kill myself. And it was in rehab where I discovered therapy. And in therapy, for people out there that's scared of therapy,
do it.
Do it. Because all it is what we just did right here in front of you for the last couple of minutes.
It's just working on yourself.
Working on yourself. Talk about what, don't be ashamed of whatever it is that you went through, whatever it is, there's no need to be ashamed of it. You know, when I went to rehab and they evaluate you, and when it's time, you know, a week before I was in there for a whole month. Yeah. So a week before it's time for me to go, they pulled my chart up and said, you have suppressed emotions. And I was like, what? So what does that mean? He said every time there was an instance for me to express how I feel, like I wouldn't want to tell people what I disliked. Or, you know, within a group, you know, if you're in a team, if you're part of something, you don't want to be the troublemaker. You don't want to be the one to mess it up. You know, we're all on the road right now. You don't want to be the one to stand up and say, hold up, stop the bus. Yeah. The bus has to stop. I'm uncomfortable right now. My therapist said, it's okay to do that.
Yes.
It's okay to do that. She said, if they get matched, so what? This is how you feel. Yeah. Right? They're not for you.
I remember when I first went to therapy, I think I cried for a straight week because it was so repressed, you know? And people are afraid of that. Right. But once you're done with that, then you see the other side. And then you start to see it in other people and you're like, hey man, you have suppressed emotions.
Yeah. You can tell.
Like, let me tell you how I've done this.
You can ask a friend, you all right? And they'll go, no, I'm okay. And then you gotta be, no.
Yeah.
Something, and then they'll say, well, let me, you know what I'm saying? You gotta see what you've been through. Yeah. If you've been through something and you was able to overcome it, it was an experience given to you so you can help and save others.
And that's why I love that you can find your passion in different avenues, because your vulnerability is helping so many other people.
Exactly.
So I think that's great.
Through cooking.
Yeah, through cooking.
It's a community. It brings people of all races, religions, creeds, and colors together.
Exactly.
Just like music.
Yep.
Go to a museum. See people from all, as I'm looking at the beautiful art on the walls in here. Go to a museum, you see people from all walks of life. Yeah. We all go do the same thing. Go to a restaurant. Yeah. Go to a concert. Go to a classroom.
Exactly.
So we have our artistic, talented abilities is a centerpiece for this universe. You know what I'm saying? My song, Christmas Time in Hollis, Queens. Jewish people, Muslim people, all know the rap. Yeah. And they sing it to me. You know, even if they're not Christian. Yeah. It's the same thing with food.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
I completely agree.
You could be a Jewish person and say, oh, try one of these. I love this because we all are the same thing, but we have different expressions. Your expressions came through the culinary arts. My expression came through the musical arts. Yeah. And other persons might come through painting or something like that.
Exactly. And speaking of the culinary arts, we're gonna take our veggie burger out of the fridge now. I think it's, so what we did.
Now how long you leave it in there?
We left it in there for like 15 minutes, just so it could harden. And so while we were talking about all of our passions, this baby has been cooling down. So what I'm doing is I'm putting in a cup of gluten-free panko. So this is gonna.
What is that?
It's just breadcrumbs. It's gluten-free breadcrumbs. So this.
All these words, they got these big fancy words.
I know, right? I'm teaching you.
What does that mean? Oh, it's just breadcrumbs.
Yeah, I should just say that, right?
Right.
But it makes me sound cooler when I say panko. So this is panko. It's just gonna help as a binder as well. Okay. And so we put it in the fridge to help solidify and help make it more like a ground beef patty.
Panko, how you pronounce it again?
P-A-N-K-O.
Panko.
Panko.
Panko is a binder.
Yes, it's a binder and also is gonna add texture. So like when you have fried chicken, it's like panko. It's flour, panko.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you can see it in a lot of things.
This is basically breadcrumbs.
Yeah, it's just breadcrumbs. We're just being fancy. And now what we're doing is we're just gonna cut an onion.
An onion.
And how I cut my onion is really simple. It's just 3 easy steps. And we're just gonna use half of an onion because it
Okay.
looks like it's not gonna need the whole thing.
Is this the type of dishes you want to have in your restaurant when you serve?
So kind of, yeah. So our restaurant, me and Carrie, she's a guest as well on the Self-Help Chef. We want to do vegan barbecue.
Vegan barbecue.
So
sounds good.
it's also really cool that you mentioned that your hip hop music is for everybody.
Right.
Because we want our barbecue to be for everybody.
Of course.
So that's why I think food is an amazing way of bringing people together, because even if you have dietary restrictions, we still should be included. And so that's what I love about plant-based cooking, is because even if you're not a meat, or even if you are a meat eater, you can be creative.
Come and enjoy. Right.
And learn something new.
Exactly. For me, everybody was like, oh, we don't like hip hop.
Yeah.
Hip hop's not music. What are we doing this? And then when they heard Run DMC records, they was like, oh, whoa, this is what, well, I like these songs.
Because it was really new when you guys started with
very
hip
new.
hop.
Yeah, everybody was like.
And the way you guys were doing it too, with combining rock, and I think it's so cool that you guys, you're the king of rock and you're a hip hop artist.
You know, it's funny too. Right, exactly.
That's
I
awesome.
Love that, right. When we first went around to shop our deals, most of the times that we got turned down, all the record companies was like, you know, because in the beginning, hip hop was basically, it was considered black ghetto music. You know, because it was rhyming about, you know, the social issues that was affecting the people that you didn't see on TV. So it was all the crime and poverty and stuff like that. And it was very depressing. So me, I come from Hollis, Queens, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, even in a dirt poor ghetto where there's death, darkness, and despair, there's joy and color and coloring books and finger painting. You know what I'm saying? I remember when I was in kindergarten, you come home with your first finger painting and your mother and father hang it on a refrigerator like it was a work of art. Because it is a work of art.
It is.
But I remember when I started doing my records, I was like, you know, I'm gonna talk about the things Darryl, like school, family, you know, what I like to eat, how I like to draw. And my first rap was, I'm DMC, in the place to be. I go to St. John's University. And since kindergarten, I acquired the knowledge. After 12th grade, I went straight to college. I'm DMC from Hollis, Queens, and I love eating chicken and collard greens. So I was just talking about school, St. John's University, my mother and father. And a lot of the labels was like, there's no way anybody wants to hear a young man rhyming about glasses, chicken and collard greens in St. John's University. Because they said, nobody wants to hear that, but I put that record out. And it
look
connected
at how,
with so
look at what happens.
Exactly.
Do you want to make a patty?
It's like, you know, yes, how do I do it?
I'll give one to you. So just flatten it out, just like you're making a regular burger.
Oh yeah, it feels.
So yeah, you broke a lot of barriers because you were finding your passion, and you're sticking to your passion, which I think is amazing.
Feels like a regular burger too.
Right?
It's like somebody said, I'm never eating that. It's not even meat, but it feels like meat.
It's gonna taste like meat too.
It operates like meat.
Exactly.
That's real funny. It's real funny.
And that's the aquafaba and the breadcrumbs.
Aquafaba. Sound like a Star Wars character.
It does, doesn't it?
Aquafaba, son of Jabba the Hutt.
It should be, because aquafaba is awesome.
Yeah.
It does so many things. I'm gonna start calling it a superhero, because it is a superhero. All right, so this makes 5 burgers, but if you wanted to make it smaller burgers, we could also make 6 or more.
Right, but make a good 5.
Yeah, a good 5. Maybe I'll split this one up into 2.
That's like splitting a song up.
One.
We do that sometimes. Yo, put that half of the song, make that a whole song by itself.
Exactly. All right, so we're gonna head to the stovetop, and we're gonna fry up our burgers, and then we're gonna plate them, and then we're gonna taste them.
Okay.
All right, so our burgers are ready. They look like regular beef burgers, but they're beans, so they're even better. And we have an amazing smoked Gouda that I've melted on top. And we're gonna assemble them together. But before that, we were talking about our passion and how you've clung on to this passion for so long. And now you're taking it and you're putting it into a new avenue, which I think is so cool. And it's Darryl Makes Comics. So if you want to talk a little bit about how you're doing that and how you decided to shift gears a little bit.
Before 70s rock radio, before hip hop came over the bridge from the Bronx, like I said earlier, all I did was read, collect, and draw comics. So about 4 years ago, it's funny, 4 years ago, I went to a music meeting. And I go into this music meeting, and it's funny how much we all have in common. I sit down, and I was meeting with a young man named Riggs Morales, and he's the A&R executive up at Atlantic Records. So I go up there for the music meeting, and he goes, D, I never fan out. I'll probably never get this chance again in my life. But then he goes, you was like my superhero. The way you looked and the way you sounded and all that. I just gotta know one thing. What was it like when you was a kid? And I was like, well, like I told you, I just went to Catholic school my whole life, and all I did was read, collect, and draw comics. And he was like, comics? And I was like, yeah, comics. So we thought it was just hip hop that we had in common. But before hip hop for him too, it was comics. So we sat there for 3 hours.
Wow.
And we just talked about comic books.
Yeah.
So he's this kid that grew up in, the city, Puerto Rican kid from the city. I'm this little kid from Hollis, Queens, New York, who all have this in common. So after we finished this discussion, he was like, D, you should do a comic book. And I go, no, you're not going to get me in trouble. And he was like, what are you talking about? I said, I don't want my fellow geeks and nerds, because we are really critical. And culture, you take your craft seriously.
Yeah.
You don't want somebody coming in and disrespecting your culture and the thing that you do. So I was like, I don't want my fellow geeks and nerds going, oh, just because he had a hit record, he think he could come and sell comic books. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to do any disrespect to the culture, because I respect people's culture. He said, D, you won't be some celebrity knucklehead that's trying to capitalize off and make money off of comic books. He says, you're not doing a comic book as DMC, the king of rock. I was like, what are you talking about? He said, it's your first love. You're doing it as little Darryl, the kid who loved comic books before hip hop. And I was like, I never thought about it like that. Then he says this, you can do with the comic books the same thing you've been doing with your music all these years. And I was like, what do you mean? Inspire, motivate, and entertain people.
The same thing you were doing with music.
Anyway, so 4 years ago, we started Darryl Makes Comics. He asked me, D, you can't use Marvel, you can't use DC, you can't use Valiant, you can't use Image. What would you call your comic book company? And remember in the beginning of our discussion, I said, we all have everything necessary for us to succeed at all levels of life.
True.
I sat there, man, I wanted to use Marvel real bad.
Yeah.
But peace to Stanley and peace to my wonderful Marvel universe people. I was like, man, I can't use Marvel, can't use the initials of my name is DMC. D from Darryl, MC from McDaniels. But I can use those letters and make it stand for anything powerful, positive, and productive. So I was sitting there, okay, my name is Darryl. Riggs wants me to make comic books. So I'm gonna call my company DMC. Darryl Makes Comics. And Riggs was like, yo, that's crazy. I don't know.
Perfect.
So 4 years ago, out of a passion that two young kids had in common, we created Darryl Makes Comics.
Yeah, and it's amazing. And then you're using it for also Darryl Makes Cookies.
Darryl
Makes
Cookies,
we're working on together.
Yeah, when I met you, I was like, oh, by the way, you're a chef. That means you know how to bake too. And she was like, yes, I know how to bake. Well, I want to do some cookies.
Yeah.
So
you're taking your passion, you're putting in all of these avenues, and you're not limiting yourself.
Cookies, comics, I could do chocolate.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The list goes on.
As long as it's a C word.
Exactly.
Well, let's layer our burgers. They're all ready. We have our gluten-free buns.
Okay.
And what we're gonna do, here I'll get a little, we can use our spatula. And I'm gonna put the habanero or the jalapeno aioli on mine.
Now, if you wanted to put stuff, you could put
ketchup, mayonnaise, whatever you want. And do you like tomatoes and lettuce?
But I'm gonna eat it raw.
You're gonna eat it how it is.
So I can get the effervescence.
I love that.
Of it, because I never put ketchup on my fries.
Really? So you can see how the fries are.
I like it right. Yeah, exactly.
It's like a true, food connoisseur.
My son, he's over there. Say hi, Neeson. He puts hot sauce on everything.
Oh yeah, I'm the same way with mayonnaise actually. All right, let's dig into it.
Eat it as is.
As is.
To get the,
so nothing's distracting.
Okay, let's see.
Wow. Like it?
Wow, you should market these. We could sell these right now.
Mm-hmm. Darryl makes veggie burgers.
Mm.
You like them?
I love them.
And so this actually is not that spicy if you want to put a little dollop, but if it's only one jalapeno in there.
There's only one
Just,
jalapeno?
yeah, it's just mayonnaise, plant-based mayonnaise. And it really adds.
All right, let's see.
And it's like the crunch of the outside, but it's still chewy on the inside.
All I had to do was put ketchup on this and it'd be a burger.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, the sauce ain't that bad.
Not that spicy.
Not spicy at all. Very tasty.
You approve?
I approve.
Awesome. Yay! Well, thank you so
Approve.
much.
Thank
Steve.
you.
You totally made my whole life for coming and being my guest.
Well,
And
thank you for having
I'm
me.
honored to know you and call you as a friend. And thank you for cooking with me and talking about your passions.
Thank you.
And remember, you guys, you are worthy, you are important.
Yes,
and
you are.
we will see you on the next episode of The Self-Help Chef.